We've got breaking news here at 24/7 Sports as Nashville Christian quarterback Jared Curtis, one of the top overall prospects in the class of 2026, has announced his commitment to the Georgia Bulldogs. It was an incredible back-and-forth matchup between the Bulldogs and the Oregon Ducks, but in the end, the number 13 overall prospect in the country is headed to Athens to play for Georgia. This is a 6'4", 225-pounder who is listed as the number 4 overall quarterback in America and the number 1 prospect in the state of Tennessee. And with that, there is nobody better to talk to about this commitment than Dogs 24/7 insider Ben Wolk. Ben, how big of a get is this for the Georgia Bulldogs?
Well, there's no question about it. Kirby Smart and Mike Bobo got their guy. It took them 2 tries at it to finally be able to get him, but it looks like they've got him locked in for the 2026 recruiting class. I mean, Jared Curtis was from the beginning the quarterback that Georgia wanted. And I think that when you think about quarterback conversation and how Georgia has handled recruiting at that position specifically over the last few cycles, it was important to them to identify their QB1 in this class and find a way to land him. It got a little bit more stressful than maybe they would have liked when he committed in March 2024, but now we're sitting here in May 2025 and they signed the quarterback that they wanted all along.
I've seen Jared multiple times in person. He's right here in our backyard in Nashville. He is an elite talent. He's got the body, the size, a guy that can be a day one contributor. So, Ben, I got to know, can fans expect him to compete for the job upon arrival when he gets there in December, January as an early enrollee?
Well, I think it's a fascinating conversation, too, especially as we get into the revenue share era potentially, and how much of your cap is devoted to a guy that may or may not be playing in year one as a starting quarterback. And so I think it's fascinating how that develops. I will say, you don't know what Gunnar Stockton's 2025 season looks like and whether he could be back for next year as well. You think about Ryan Puglisi behind him, Ryan Montgomery behind him, some people that will have a little bit of Georgia offensive knowledge advantage over Jared Curtis when he comes in, but there's no question about it. When he steps on campus, he will be the most talented guy that Georgia has in its quarterback room. How long that takes for him to get to starting quarterback at a school where very rarely are you seeing young guys get the nod over the veterans in the quarterback room. So it's a fascinating conversation to see, but clearly someone that Georgia expects to be the face of its roster moving forward.
And let's look at the Jared Curtis impact on Georgia Bulldogs recruiting. Are there a couple guys, couple names to know that fans can expect to, hey, we landed Jared Curtis, now keep an eye on these guys?
Well, there's 2 dates that Georgia fans have had circled for the last few weeks, and that's Jared Curtis on May 5th and then Jackson Cantwell on May 13th. And so I think now all attention turns to Jackson Cantwell. Can Georgia sign one of, its top quarterback target, and can it sign its or land its top offensive line target as well? Jackson Cantwell's recruitment will be the one that comes into focus exactly like this a week from now. I do think there's an undercurrent of recruits like Mark Bowman, Brett Collegier, Vance Spafford that's already in the class, where there's a relationship there that's been built between those guys and Jared Curtis that I think will pay dividends. And you look at June 13th, Georgia's got an official visit weekend that Jared Curtis is expected to be at. And you look at all the names of guys that are on the list that weekend. Zach Fort's already committed. Vance Spafford's already committed. Lincoln Keys is already committed. Then you start to think about who are some of the other names that are on the list that weekend. And I think a high percentage of those June 13th to 15th official visitors for Georgia are likely to wind up in the Bulldogs class.
Like I said, huge win for Georgia as Jared Curtis commits to the Bulldogs. As always, stay locked to 247sports.com and dogs247.com for the latest on Georgia recruiting.